Take one. Hello everybody, John Cope here from Cope Racing Transmissions in Lowell, Indiana. Coming to you today talking to you about trans brake installation and reverse manual valve body installation for the 904, the 727, the 518, the 618, any rear wheel drive 3-speed or 4-speed Chrysler transmission. And the first part of this we're going to do the reverse manual valve body, because it'll apply to the trans brake. And then there's only two things different from the reverse manual to the trans brake, and I'll say that next. And then I'm going to go over just a few things that are relative to both. So the first thing we'll do here is get a good look. This is our 4-speed reverse manual valve body for 48RE or 46 or 47 with lockup. Just a reverse manual valve body, no trans brake, and this is what it looks like. So the first thing you need to know is when you're setting up the clutch pack clearance and the clutches on the front drum, you're going to want to put 15 springs, all 15 springs in that front clutch. If your piston doesn't hold 15 springs and only holds 10, then if you give us a call, we can sell you a piston that holds all 15. The first step is put all 15 springs inside that front clutch drum. Then you're going to want to, this is an option, I make billet clutch spring retainer to go in there. It has a receiver groove for the snap ring that keeps the snap ring from opening under high revolution, and then it's got this really nice ridge to keep the springs from flying out. So you can get the springs and the retainer for 100, or I think it's 30 and 75. You're going to want about the minimum is 15 thousandths per clutch clearance. Most of us run 5 clutches. Do the math, that's 75 thousandths, but that's the minimum. So I like the front clutch clearance to be, the clutch pad clearance to be between 75 thousandths and 90 thousandths. That's the sweet spot. That goes for any of the rear wheel drive transmissions. The 904, you can stay in the 70s. Make sure you use a multi-spring pack on a 904. On the rear clutch pack, you want the clearance to be 30 to 40 thousandths between the piston or the clutch pack clearance, and then the piston to Bellevue spring clearance, you want to try to make it as least as possible. Maybe a thou or two. Acceptable is 10 to 15. Anytime they get any looser with high pressure valve bodies, even unless you're using a billet Bellevue spring, that front piston has a tendency to push past the Bellevue spring. Then the lip seals pop out, and then when they go back in, they rip. You have no forward motion. So we do sell a piston that is different thicknesses to take up that clearance, so you can do that. The band adjustments are the stock adjustments, 72 inch-pounds, back off 2 turns, except for the diesel. The low reverse is a little bit looser, and same with the 904. The low reverse is a little bit looser, and it's looser because both the 518, or I should say the 48RE, and the 904 have a double wrap low reverse band, and so they're a little bit looser. They're like 2.5 turns. So that is really all you need to know as far as clearances for the reverse manual valve body. There also is the same for the trans brake valve body. So everything I've said will cover both. From this point on, I'm just going to cover a few things for the trans brake. Because you will have to drill a hole in the front drum as far out as you can without hitting the lip seal surface. It's an 1/16 hole, and what it does is when you're on the trans brake, you fill this front drum up with oil, and that turns on reverse, and it keeps the car from rolling. It locks the car up, and when you let go of the button, this lets go, and the car propels forward. But this drum is still has fluid in it, and it's spinning counterclockwise, 245-to-1 ratio in reverse, and the fluid that's still in here could gather and still apply the piston. So that relief hole allows that oil to escape out of there, and then you don't have no chances of these clutches coming on hydraulically in first gear when this drum's spinning the opposite way. And it makes for a clean release also. So there's the two reasons. So trans brake, I always go with the opposite of this hole. This is a TCS drum. I go opposite of the hole. Now the reason, there's two places you can drill the hole. You can drill a hole in the drum or in the piston. I don't have a piston here, but if you drill it in the drum, you have to block off the factory vent hole, which is right here. And the reason why you need to block that off is because the drum goes here on the trans during the assembly process, and when it's spinning, that hole that you just drilled in the drum is now going to spray all over the vent. So you can use I believe it's 5/16 pipe and put a fitting in there. I just dropped it on the floor. Put a fitting in there and block this off, and then get a vent like this. This is just a stock factory vent out of a Turbo 350, and we sell them if you need them. And you relocate to the back of the case. You can put it at 12, you can put it at 11, you can put it at 2. It doesn't matter. But if you're going to get a vent, I recommend that you take the cap off and you run a line up to the master cylinder and put a puke can up there. Because one in every, I don't know, 9 or 10 transmissions, you got one that'll puke and puke and puke, and there's no reason for it. You got a puker. But if you put the catch can up higher than this, it'll burp a little bit and then just drain right back in there. Some people have problems with the munners, some don't. If you overheat it, that's definitely an issue. So this way, if you have a catch can, you're not making a mess at the track, and it's for your own safety too, so you don't get no tranny fluid underneath your tires. So the only difference now between the reverse manual and trans brake is you're going to drill a hole here. You can relocate the vent. On both my valve bodies, they have low band apply.